Meet Los Angeles' most haunting citizens. Watch my spirited series, Monday at 5 on the Channel 4 News.
Ridiculous, preposterous, people say. There is no such thing as a ghost. Yet why do people love ghost stories? Love it when someone goes boo. All this week, some amazing tales, legends, myths, and ghosts. Take them for what they are. And what better place to start than Hollywood?
They stalk the halls of the Roosevelt. As he was in life, Montgomery Clift is the most restless. He stayed at the Roosevelt for 3 months while filming From Here to Eternity.
He used to walk the halls and recite his lines and play that damn bugle.
Room 928 was Monty's, as friends called him. There are still bugle sounds and things that go bump in the night in room 928. At one point during the hotel renovation, it got too weird for the maids.
They wouldn't go back to the 9th floor. They wouldn't go up there anymore at all. So again, we had to go and find out whose room this was. It was Monty Clift's.
In Hollywood's golden age, anyone who was anyone stayed at the Roosevelt.
This was the place to go dining and dancing, to see and be seen in those days.
Marilyn Monroe liked to be seen out by the pool, and it said her reflection appears in a large mirror that was in her room. A maid saw it while polishing the mirror.
There was a reflection of a blonde girl, and she turned around to say hello, and there was nobody there. But yet when she looked back in the mirror, that blonde reflection was right where her hand... Oh, I get the shivers every time I tell that story.
There's a cold spot in the ballroom, the scene of the first Academy Awards back in 1929.
It's just off the corner of this arch. And it's right there, where my left hand is.
There is a slight.
Now, we've been in here for a while with the lights on, so it's dissipated some, but it's a circle about this big, and if the room is empty and quiet, it's about 10 degrees cooler than the rest of the room. There's no overhead draft, there's no trapdoors, there's no doors open, there's no reason to explain it, but it's here.
It's amazing. The history, the style, the elegance of Hollywood, its stars and its ghosts. Hotel guests love it.
People will come in and they say, show me your ghosts. And I say, I'm sorry, I can't make them appear. I can take you to where we have sensed their presence. I can tell you the stories, but I can't make them appear for me. Our ghosts like the hotel. They were happy here, so they might as well hang around a little longer.
And they will delight in meeting you, if you dare. Tomorrow, Los Angeles and the Civil War. The colonel, his wife who walks the halls, the little boy, and the doors that won't stay closed. The legend says it's just the ghosts of the drum barracks enjoying the afterlife. Tomorrow.
David, why is the coal spot significant? Do ghosts like coal?
All of the people of the paranormal say that is indicative of a ghost presence, some kind of an entity present there, a coal spot. And it was cold where you put your hand there. And you wouldn't expect her to say it wasn't if it weren't, would you?
No, not at all.
Our Earthwatch reporter David Garcia is doing double duty all this week as our Ghost Watch reporter. Apparently some ghosts have been around for quite a while, and David is here with details.
And good fun. Los Angeles during the Civil War, officially pro-Union, but also a hotbed of Confederate activity. And to this day, witnesses say, what's left of the old Union fort is still a hotbed for ghosts.
Colonel Curtis is supposed to be in this room. He was our commander here, the longest. And he is supposed to be in this room. Sitting on that chair, by the way, a lot of the time. But a spirit, like anything else, is not static. It wanders around.
The Drum Barracks Museum in Wilmington, all that's left of Fort Drum, dating back to the Civil War, critical to the Union victory over the Confederacy.
The California 2000 marched from here and marched up to Arizona, 38 miles from Yuma, and that's where they fought the westernmost battle of the Civil War.
7,000 men and women passed through the drum barracks during the Civil War. As the story goes, some never went home. They're still here as ghosts.
When we were fixing the library up, for instance, we smelt a smell come in, and it leaned over our shoulder and watched us and then walked away. Now, we saw no one, but you had a sense of someone coming in, and definitely a smell of perfume.
The smell of lilacs, and Mary wore lilac perfume.
I dubbed her Mary, but it seems her name is Maria. If it is indeed, it could possibly be Curtis's wife. He and Maria were married shortly before they came down here, so this was their honeymoon period. One of the fun things about it is she used to wander, I have back to 1927, she would wander and moan up and down the stairs. About 10 o'clock one Sunday, my caretaker called me, and she said, Mary's walking again, but now she's humming a tune that you always hum as you go through the museum, so maybe Mary's glad we're here.
Then there's the child.
He's about 5 or 6 years old, and he goes in the upstairs hall and plays his ball. And it's really funny because my staff will hear a thud, and that's him hitting his ball against the wall.
And the horse soldier, Patrick.
When I went through the morning reports and the daily reports, there were several Irish Patricks that were stationed here. He could be any one of them. He's up in the north bedroom, too. He likes it here because he said that here he found friends that he hadn't had before in his life, and he found a camaraderie here.
There are odd happenings. The lamp in the sitting room seems to turn on and off by itself. The window shades raise and lower with no one touching them. And the doors in the upstairs hall.
You can hear them opening because it takes a lot of jarring to get those crazy locked doors open. About 9:30 in the morning, we heard them. And one on my staff went up and closed it and locked them and came down and assured me they had. And about 11:30, they all opened again.
It's just the ghosts from Fort Drum rattling around, having fun.
Mary said she would never leave. You'd have to burn the building down before she'd leave. This was her home. This was where she was happiest in her life, and she came back to it.
And Marge O'Brien has no doubt. They're there.
Yes, I feel a presence here. I'm not sure what, and I don't want to be specific on it, but I have felt presence here.
The Drum Barracks Museum is open to the public, ghosts and all. California, the Golden State, gold. People have spent their lives searching for it. They have died for it. And as legend has it, some ghosts are still searching.
The ghosts of the Salton Sea ride the wind, especially the old Spanish galleon. Through an Indian petroglyph, the legend will live forever.
With a little imagination, you can see that there was an Indian artist who saw that Spanish ship and was so impressed that he went into the mountains where he lived and painted it on the rock. It looks very much like it. With a big square sail, crow's nest, and all kinds of things.
The sailors were searching for gold, as legend has it. Not impossible, since the Sea of Cortez once stretched inland all the way to what is now Palm Springs. But the sailors didn't count on the Colorado River, depositing a barrier of silt behind them, cutting them off.
So when they came back again with the sacks of gold, or sacks of disappointment, whichever, and when they came back, they got into the ship. Yes, the ship was there, but they couldn't get out because of the silt barrier. The ship is still there. And if you have a few drinks and you walk along the shore of the Salton Sea, you can still see it.
So many of California's legends are connected to gold. A lot of people met a violent end in their pursuit of wealth. The mines have been long abandoned, but as the stories go, the ghosts come back to visit. Peg-Leg Pete is still snooping around old gold mines, trying to remember where he stashed a treasure in gold.
It was called Peg-Leg because he had amputated his own leg, which had a festering wound from an arrow, an Indian arrow.
Old Man Drood, as he's known, hid some cash in a mine and was murdered when he wouldn't reveal his secret.
Now, once a month, he comes riding on a white horse, spurs jingling, just to make sure that the money is still there. Apparently it is.
But it was the railroad, not ghost ships, that put the region on the map because a new mother lode was found: salt. In the late 1800s, the water was gone, left behind a salt sink more than 200 feet below sea level. The new Liverpool Salt Company turned what was barren wasteland into a fortune mining salt. The Southern Pacific Railroad built a direct line for shipments, but the Colorado River, called the Red Bull, was still creating problems. In the spring of 1905, the Colorado went on a rampage.
Oh, wow. I mean, they couldn't stop it. That's when the Colorado River left the ocean and became the lake by mistake down here, Salton Sea.
Don Wepler's hobby is the history of the Salton Sea, especially the railroad.
When the water came in, it just ruined everything. Everything was inundated, even the ranches and all that sort of thing.
Including the railroad, everything underwater, gone. Today, the Salton Sea and the people who live there move at a slower pace. Fishing is the main draw, fishing and hope.
They say this is a giant waiting to be, start going again, but so far it's just kind of been a sleepy place down here,
But the ghosts of the Salton Sea never sleep.
So much gold, so little time.
It's all about it.
Well, from the beginning of time, Colleen, sailors have told tales of being attacked by sea monsters, giant serpents that can wreck even the most seaworthy ships with one flip of a tail. But a sea serpent in a lake?
From time to time, if you're out at the lake at the right time, it's rumored that you might be able to see Elsie. Have any of you ever seen Elsie? So some of you have seen Elsie.
There's no question Lake Elsinore can play tricks on you. Shadows, reflections, changes in light. And some say the legend of the Lake Elsinore monster is nothing more than that. Lila Knight has lived in Lake Elsinore all her life.
If you have a good enough imagination, you could make Elsie out of a boat or a wave, I guess. It might be to get away from reality, have some fun out of life. Instead of all of the bitterness that you see and the negative on everything, you got to have something to look forward to and laugh and chuckle about.
To others, the Lake Elsinore monster is nothing to laugh about. They insist they've seen it. Bonnie Prey went to her grave with the memory.
In length would be about 35, 40 feet, at least.
An overactive imagination or a psychological need? Whatever the reason, for people here, Elsie lives.
In fact, they've seen her on warm weekends, holidays, 30 feet high, 122 feet long, fierce in fiberglass.
Local people here are very fond of her. You go in almost any store in town and mention Elsie, and they know who you're talking about.
Bill Staples had great fun towing Elsie around Lake Elsinore, and the emphasis is on the word had. Elsie has fallen on hard times, damaged in a storm. People apparently not very interested in coming up with the money to restore her. Not even a monster can overcome the economic pinch. Even so, the legend she represents is alive and well.
Way back years ago when Indians lived around the lake, there were on the north shore were some old sulfur springs, and now and then they would erupt. And when they did, they'd cause a black or a dark, muddy spot to show up, which looked kind of strange to the Indians, and a very obnoxious smell from the sulfur. So they were pretty sure that was something, some type of a creature there that they didn't particularly want to have anything to do with, and they nicknamed it or gave it the name of the Elsinore sea serpent, or that's what they thought it was.
And there's no getting around those strange sights on the lake.
I had a friend of mine call me from the other side of the lake one time, and there was a path running through the lake, a wide swath all the way through the lake that stayed there for about a half an hour, ran from one end to the other, and there was nothing else on the lake. I have no idea what it was. It's just some kind of phenomena that happens now and then on the lake.
Just some kind of phenomena that you can't explain. What everyone says about ghosts and things that go bump in the night. We've had an enormous number of phone calls this week, people relating their own experiences. And apparently, we haven't even begun to tell you all.